They are making crime legal as Walmart makes a very shocking announcement, one that many have predicted, although it's been, I don't know, how do I say, discouraged, because some lawmakers feel as if it's okay to do anything that you want despite what normal law-abiding citizens go through.
SB 553, that's a bill to ban retail workers from stopping shoplifters. Very controversial. A lot of people are angry about this. Why was this bill proposed, and do you see it going through?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it addresses an issue that we're seeing more and more often in California, especially in cities like San Francisco, where there is a lot of rampant shoplifting, and it puts retail workers in a bind because, you know, if they approach the people who are stealing, there's a possibility of that escalating and becoming violent. Obviously, we saw in San Francisco, there was the Walgreens guard who fatally shot a shoplifter, and that has created a lot of turmoil and uproar. But then on the other hand, if, you know, they do nothing to deter people from stealing, then there's going to be a lot more stealing, and that's not good for businesses, especially small businesses.
You can see what's happening here, right? It's basically asking for trouble. I mean, we don't want to see employees hurt by thieves, but at the same time, they know for a fact that they're going to lose their jobs if their branch is hit with enough losses. You know what I mean? How do you find the balance there? And honestly, why the heck does it seem as if we're the ones who have to adapt to these criminals? What do you guys think about all this? And like I said, workers are torn because the policy has changed and thieves now have all the reason more to steal.
Shoplifting is illegal, but in video after video, it doesn't look that way. In New York, shelves of a high-end retail store emptied. In California, people walking calmly out with armfuls of stolen goods.
Hold on.
Now, Walgreens saying it's closing more than 20 stores, 5 in San Francisco, because of this rampant problem, what's being called organized retail crime. The company pulling the plug on these locations, saying it made the decision only after having increased our investments in security measures in stores across the city to 46 times our chain average in an effort to provide a safe environment. And drugstore items ending up in impromptu markets like this in San Francisco. So why is this happening? San Francisco's police chief points in part to a change in state law that raised the threshold for what's considered a felony theft from $450 to $950.
Some people calculate, hey, you know, I don't want to go over the $950, so let me steal $949 worth of property.
And employees are in a terrible position.
If it's a felony, our officers can take action, but if it's a misdemeanor, that arrest has to be a private person's arrest.
Folks, this is concerning from a guy who wants to run the entire country. He can't run yet because of President Biden, but y'all know Governor Gavin Newsom wants in, right? Taking the term Wild Wild West way too literally. And before we get deeper into this, please consider subscribing to the channel and also smash that like button. Every click helps and it's always appreciated, guys. Now, moving on to Walmart and their announcement. I mean, very shocking announcement, mind you. They're turning self-checkout lanes back. That's right, guys. They're turning them back into standard checkout lanes with people who we can actually talk to.
Go into any grocery store and you're likely to see a number of self-checkout caches. Now, they're supposed to speed up the process for people with just a few items, but they also save companies labor costs. Well, it would seem that one Walmart in Ottawa was experimenting by adding more staff to the self-checkout area. Now, it's unclear if the move is to curb a rise in shoplifting during the affordability crisis, but it does have some people welcoming the return of human interaction. There are at least a few in nearly every grocery chain, but this Walmart in Ottawa could be scaling back on self-checkout terminals. A sign inside the store says they're testing the full-serve experience where associates will be available to scan all items, including in the self-checkout area. Walmart hasn't said why it's running the test program at this store. However, it follows a number of other supermarkets that have started asking shoppers to show their receipts when leaving the store. According to Statistics Canada, police reported cases of shoplifting rose by 31% between 2021 and 2022. Some blaming inflation and labor shortages for the uptick.
Isn't that just, how do I call it, ironic? Because they wanted to save money on less employees and get on this agenda that basically gave people the right to take whatever they want. But now that it's hitting them in the wallets, it's hitting them where it hurts. Things have to change again. And by where it hurts, I mean their wallets. You see, the theft is probably costing them a lot more for them to just kind of go back on their word and start paying for more workers again. Although at the same time, states like California and their leadership, they want to make stealing a norm.
Retailers and retail trade associations are characterizing retail crime as an epidemic. Theft is an issue. It's higher than what it's historically been. If that's not corrected over time, prices will be higher.
In 2021, retail shrink, which refers to inventory losses due to theft, unknown loss, and administrative error, accounted for $94.5 billion, as compared to $90.8 billion in 2020. But beneath the surface, there is another side to this story. The available data is unreliable, a prominent concern of criminal justice advocates.
On balance, I think it's likely that all of these crime trends, from sort of petty theft and organized shoplifting rings all the way up to various categories of violent crime, have on balance been blown out of proportion by people with an agenda, either to get more eyes on their content or to get more funding for institutions that they prefer, like police.
This is just unbelievable, guys. Would you ever be okay with people just stealing whatever they want? Or will this lead to a completely lawless country? And what would stop these people from stopping their thefts at Walmart? What if they stopped and stole from your house? This is not a good pattern, guys. But speaking of our country spiraling down toward a dark abyss, do you know that the data that we're being provided by our federal government continues to be revised? Now, I'm talking about all the numbers that they've been boasting about to us for some time now. I'm talking about none other than the payroll report. They kept the same line, right? How are we in a recession with such a strong labor market? Have you seen the job numbers? Of course we're not in a recession. Recession? What's that? A new flavor of ice cream? Yeah, he'd probably ask about ice cream. But look at this, guys. Look at the original numbers provided to us in blue, the first revision in green, and the remix, as I like to call it, or the revision in the red, showing a shocking truth. I mean, like, what the heck, right? Do you see the difference? It's like promising one thing and then right after that you admit that you just can't do it. This is exactly what you can liken that to, because it shows that things are actually worse than what they let on. But it's not just these numbers. They have done the exact same thing with new home sales numbers. And it's like they just keep on trying to paint this picture that they're doing way better than they are, when they're really not. And I'm not sure if they want to create a panic or if they're just trying to save their behinds at this point. Because you got to think, it's kind of hard to make numbers out of zero. I mean, like, does that make sense? Like, if the job isn't there, then what are you counting? Are they ghost payrolls? Are we paying Casper now? And if you're thinking that the number exaggeration isn't by a lot, oh boy, you're in for a surprise.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics just out with payroll revisions, and it's going to be revised. It will be revised down by about 360,000 in the preliminary estimate. Joining us now from more is Bloomberg's Michael McKee. Mike, can you put this number into context for us, please?
Yes, every month the Bureau of Labor Statistics reports on the number of jobs that were created by surveying companies around the country. And then once a year, they go back and look at the tax records those companies have to file, and then they can rebalance the numbers to get a more accurate count. It only goes through March of this year, the year prior, from March to March. And as you mentioned, 306,000 fewer jobs likely created during that time period.
Well, what do you think? Do any of you guys think that this was just a small mistake? I mean, it's just 300,000, right? Anybody could have made that mistake. But what are your thoughts on this? Are we being taken for a ride here? Or is the economy really as strong as they make it out to be? I want you guys to decide. Now, before I go, I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thanks for dropping a like for the video. Thanks for sharing it. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the next one.